Okay, so I'm back already. I wanted to talk about three different stories that are on that long video. I'll be surprised if that video does not go viral, at least within the next year. I think it's going to tell a lot. Right, I'm gonna keep an eye out on that. Good morning. What is it? Okay, sorry about this. Hold up, I have to do some editing. I screwed up again. Give me 1 second here. I don't know why I keep doing that. Customization. Okay, what in the world? I don't understand that. I didn't do that. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm still trying to get, all I did was I made it private at first. I made it everybody first, and then I switched it to public. So I guess that switched the participation mode into members only as well. Right? So if you have to, okay, I'm figuring it out. Sorry about that. But yeah, I want to talk about three stories. Do y'all remember when I shared this article right here? I shared this, I think, a couple years ago or something. The end of temperament testing. Says temperament testing in a shelter is notoriously unreliable. Recent study published in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior concluded that temperament evaluations in shelters are no better than a coin toss. In fact, a coin toss may be better. Positive tests would at best be not much better than flipping a coin, and often be much worse, because many of the dogs who test positive will be false positives. Y'all remember when I shared this article? That's why I was mad about it, right? Good morning, Sibby, ABQ, four-legged plague, yes sir. Leopard in the building. Hey, I think I left a link when I shared this article. If I'm not mistaken, I left a link and people went to this website and left comments. Left comments in the comment section on this website. But you see, they only concerned about false positives. They say that this is a flawed test, but it's not in the interest of reducing attacks against humans. They're only concerned about it because it will cause a dog that's maybe not aggressive or that can be rehabilitated to be deemed dangerous and euthanized. It's all about concern for the dog. That's no surprise. Right? And it went on. It says that, moreover, we never push a dog to a place where the dog will display the slightest bit of aggression. And that's exactly what using a fake hand does with dogs. How so? When all they do is use the hand to try to grab the object or whatever that the dog is dealing with. Whether it be an object, whether it be food. How is that pushing? Again, when we eat, they come right up to us. So what are we talking about? Let's not talk like that. See, all of these websites are flawed. They got this ridiculous information, and they all just ignore the fact, like, you don't scrutinize this yourself. There's nothing wrong with a test like that. Makes sense. It says shoving a fake hand in a dog's face is not only unfair to the dog, it is a cruel shelter practice designed to specifically grant a shelter employee the misguided right to kill shelter mutts. Well, if this dog mauls that hand, why wouldn't it maul a human hand? More importantly, even if it doesn't attack that hand, that does not mean that it won't attack anybody's hand at any point in the future. That's the common sense I'm talking about. That don't require deep thought to understand that. You can't use this test. Okay, let's move on with this. We'll provide support to hammer this point home, how ridiculous this is. I'll come back to that. Not only are tests themselves flawed, but dogs in shelters are stressed. Here you go again. Look at how many things stress dogs out, are said to stress dogs out. Anything. A new surface that it walks on, a sound, a slight movement, any and everything. Stresses are said to stress these things out. So who's to say it's not going to get into a home and eventually get stressed out? Here they go again, using stress as an excuse for an attack. We as humans don't walk around attacking people because we're stressed or because we're startled. Okay, let's stop with that. Look, I'm not going to engage you dog nutters in these ridiculous, childish, extremely childish debates. I'm not going to debate if you got some stupid narrative like this. This is sad. This is sad. We got to deal with other adults like this. The dog is stressed and have experienced a recent trauma, including separation from their family, skewing any results. These things don't care about who gives them food. Whoever gives them food is its new master. They're okay as long as they're eating. I don't want to hear nothing about no separation trauma. It says as a result, dogs can appear to be wildly aggressive in a shelter, but blossom outside of a shelter. So they're saying that the dog's behavior is largely dependent on its environment. Well, who's to say that your home won't be another environment that causes it to be wildly aggressive? If it's showing aggression in a shelter, you're not going to whip up an argument that it somehow though belongs inside the home of a family with kids. You see how insulting this is to even talk about. You almost stoop down to a level. You stoop down to their level, even engaging with them in a conversation like this. Seriously. A wild mutt, a mutt acting wild and aggressive inside of a shelter. You telling me you're going to whip up some argument to say that this thing still belongs inside? Wow. How insulting. A recent case study, for example, highlighted a Great Dane in a shelter scheduled to be killed because the sight of another dog had her barking, lunging, and snarling as she tried to attack. If unable to bite the object of her fury, she would spin and bite herself. A rescuer pulled her, trained her, and found her a home. She is a beautiful example of how a dog with a lack of social skills may just need some time in finishing school rather than euthanasia. Wow. That sounds arrogant. She just needs time to finish school. So the sight of another dog had this Great Dane barking, lunging, snarling, and trying to attack. So they said that they pulled her, trained her, and found her a home. Okay. Well, how do we know that the dog won't see another dog or a child and it once again is barking, lunging, snarling, and trying to attack? Good for you. You trained it to stop behaving like that with this dog, this particular dog. Good for you. Dog nut. Look, y'all talk as if y'all do some incredible magic or something like that with these worthless mutts. When you don't do nothing but have that feed the mutt every time it stops barking. You try to get it to stop barking. If it stops, you give it a treat. Some stupid food manipulation. Y'all carry out those little stupid experiments and you think you saved the world. Now you changed the dog. But it does nothing about the situations that could occur in the future. This is not rocket science. You can't control what's going to happen in the future, in that dog's future. What that dog might see, might set the dog off just because you conduct your little stupid experiment and you got to leave that one dog alone. That don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing. It's amazing how they can run this across people and just briefly, and people accept it. Like, oh, well, you're the professional. You know what you're talking about. It sounded good. What you said sounded good. No. You got to hold this stuff, excuse me, up to scrutiny, man. That doesn't even make sense. Found her a home. So you endangered somebody. Threw that mutt in somebody's home anyway. You're just exposing how corrupt these shelters are. Beautiful example. That is a dumb example. Dumb. And now look at this. It says, so what should shelters be doing? They say, if a dog comes into a shelter with no bite history and no observed aggression in the shelter, there's no reason to do any further testing. Y'all believe that? Y'all remember I shared this? Because I believe y'all got this comment section shut down on this website. If I'm not mistaken. Right now, the comment section is closed. And it was because of y'all. If I'm remembering correctly. Started hitting these dog nuts with the obvious questions, and they couldn't take it no more and shut down the comment section. Good. If that happened, good. And they say if a dog comes in after causing harm, requiring medical care, there are good protocols that do not rely on meaningless in-shelter evaluations. In other words, even if the dog attacks someone, we're not going to evaluate it with no temperament tests. Then they say in parentheses, the No Kill Advocacy Center will release a recommended protocol shortly. Listen to these arrogant. These people have been tolerated. We have given them so much room that they're arrogant now. We've allowed them to have their way for so long. These people are arrogant and they don't think anything about it. We'll release a recommended protocol shortly. But for right now, we're not even going to test a dog for temperament, even if it has attacked someone in the past. If it has no observed aggression, we won't test them at all. Wow. So, how you talk about infuriating. I was infuriated. So good, you know, the arrogance of this article. I'm glad the comment section got shut down. It was that offensive. Now that video that I shared, people, that video is just incredible work. The time it takes to do the editing on videos like this, I am telling you, I've done it. I've done it. It is very time consuming. And this thing, 2 hours, 20 minutes long, I'm still watching it myself. But I wanted to share these 3 stories. They're consecutive. I wanted to share these 3 stories and touch on a few things related to what we just went over.
Virginia Beach is considering legal action after an elderly woman died a horrific death. The dog they adopted yesterday mauled their grandmother that same night.
The woman was in her 90s. She died this morning at a hospital.
The woman across the street in her 90s was attacked by a dog her family just adopted that day. Her granddaughter, Amber.
Y'all see what that says? On its profile, its online profile, it says, "I would love you more than you can imagine. Please adopt me." Just wanted to point that out in case anybody missed it. Let's continue.
Patterson says the 1-year-old pit bull terrier pushed her grandmother to the ground and brutally attacked her for about 5 minutes. She says it happened after they took the dog's shock collar off that he wore home from the adoption center.
To know that she just adopted a dog and it turned out to be this vicious to her, that was very shocking.
Forever Home Rehabilitation Center, where they got the dog, said in a statement they are devastated over what happened and that the dog, Blue, passed his evaluations with flying colors before being adopted out to the Patterson family.
Well, there you go. That dog is said to have, quote, passed his evaluations with flying colors before being adopted out to the Patterson family. What does that mean? You know, they complained about this temperament test being a failure or being flawed, only in the sense that it will produce a false positive, that it will say that a dog is actually dangerous that's not dangerous. But it looks like that works in the reverse as well, based on the actual evidence, the reports of the attacks. How crazy is that? So these things are unreliable. These tests, these temperament tests, are totally unreliable. So there's no way to test these things. They pass the temperament test with flying colors. They're adopted out. Then they attack. Again, you can't predict how the dog is going to act or behave in the future simply because it didn't attack a plastic hand that reached for something that it was playing with. You know, quite often when you put your hand in front of a dog's face, the mutt will sniff your hand thinking that there's food in it. You have to imagine sometimes it wouldn't sniff, that it would instead attack. Think about that. Think how many times a mutt sniffed the fake hand thinking that there might be some food in it. That's what dogs do to your real hand. Almost every time. I pointed this out before. You reach out to a pet, a mutt on the head, and it's sniffing your hand. It's thinking you got some food. It's making sure you don't have no food in your hand. So just think of how many mutts, how many worthless mutts around the country sniff that plastic hand, only be adopted out and attacked because there are a million other triggers in the world the dogs will attack. Crazy, crazy stuff. So speaking of that stupid test, it will produce a false negative as well. Dog nuts, shelter nuts, all you nuts using that these stupid temperament tests, it will produce a false positive as well, dog nuts. Man, oh man, there's so many tentacles and arms on this dog nuttery. It's so many different things to be infuriated about. Now, let's mosey on to the next story. This is an excellent video that they put together here.
Evaluations with flying colors before being adopted out to the Patterson family.
2 people are recovering after an attack inside their car while driving down the road.
The woman and her son were traveling with 2 small dogs and their pit bull inside this truck.
Ran up there to them.
But June Lisby couldn't figure out what all the commotion was about.
And what did you see when you got up to the vehicle?
A lot of steamed up windows, couldn't tell what was going on.
Just then, the woman's son was able to get out. That's when June realized the 2 were being attacked by their own pit bull inside their white pickup truck while driving down the road.
I knocked on the window and got the dog come after me, and then the young lady got out.
And her whole shirt was just like covered in blood. Her arm was just like, you couldn't even see the bone. The bone was gone. It was completely gone.
Gut-wrenching.
Wow. So these people who ride around inside of their vehicles with mutts. This is another tentacle of the dog nuttery. The dog nuts who drive around in their vehicles with mutts take the risk of being attacked inside the vehicle, even as it's moving. The mutt could launch a vicious attack. Then you could kill somebody. This dog, there's nowhere to hide. You're inside a vehicle, you're sitting down. You're food. You know how more vulnerable you are now? The dog is still on its feet inside a vehicle. You're forced to sit down. It's like, here, take my face, dog, if you want it. You know, if you attack me, my face is going to be the first target. My face, throat, and all of that. These people are this suicidal. This is insanely suicidal. And you bring your kids in there too? These people plumb out of their minds, man. Wow. So this mutt, and the thing of how helpless they were when we've seen grown men, several of them, over 5, up to 10, so scared of one pit bull that even when they're outside, they won't even try to intervene or engage a pit bull that's attacking a child. So you can imagine how terrified this lady and her son was. Nobody in there, no man in there. Why would you put yourself in that type of dangerous situation? Wow. Dog nuts. This is embarrassing. And then if something happens, oh, I'm so shocked. What are you shocked about? You heard that lady on that video say that it was shocking that the dog attacked her the same day she brought it home from a shelter. There's nothing shocking about that. You know, these dog nuts are at the point where they're shocked. They're saying that they're shocked that a predator behaved like a predator. Yep, is that really shocking? Or is it that you've been foolishly ignoring the fact that it's a predator? That's a big part of this dog nuttery, where they pretend that dogs are not predators, but they treat other predators like predators. Right? Again, they shot those lions, tigers, bears, all that on site here in Ohio when they were released by that guy. We shoot mountain lion, other predators on site. You telling me dogs are not just as dangerous to humans as those predators, when up to 10 or more men will stand around scared to engage with one of them, even if it's attacking a child? Wow. There's no argument. These dog nuts have no real solid argument. Now, let's move on to this last crazy story. This thing is packed with so many goodies. We covered a lot of them on this channel, but my goodness, the volume of reports, I've never seen a compilation like this.
To listen to about 7 minutes worth of calls to 911 and rescue, calls coming from two sons who are literally helpless. You hear it in their voices, kept back by what sounds like two vicious dogs hovering over their mother. Now, it started with a call from the woman's 21-year-old son who found...
People, this is something out of a horror movie. I'm going to need y'all to pay close attention to this. This is unbelievable. I've covered hundreds of stories already on this channel. This is one of the craziest stories I've ever reported on, that I've ever talked about, that I've ever covered on this channel. Hold up.
Found his mother lying in the yard covered with blood. At this point in the tape, he has no idea that the dogs were the ones who did it. Blood. One
It's gone. It was completely gone.
Gut-wrenching to listen to. About 7 minutes worth of calls to 911 and rescue. Calls coming from two sons who are literally helpless. You hear it in their voices. Kept back by what sounds like two vicious dogs hovering over their mother. Now, it started with a call from the woman's 21-year-old son who found his mother lying in the yard covered with blood. At this point in the tape, he has no idea that the dogs were the ones who did it.
What are you putting in emergency? I need an ambulance. My mom's on front. She got blood everywhere. She's laying on the ground.
Where? Where are you? How did she get hurt?
I don't know. I just got out of the shower and I went up there to see if she got a trash can, and she was just laid out there. I don't know what happened.
Okay, so they asked him, how did she get hurt? And he said, I don't know. I just got out of the shower and I went out back to see if she got the trash cans. She was just laying out there. I don't know what happened. So right now, people, as he's talking, he doesn't know what happened to her. All right, let's continue.
That 21-year-old has no clue that his mother is very likely dying steps from her home. It isn't really until he tries to get closer to her that he realizes what has done this to her.
How long ago till you saw her? Where's she bleeding from?
Let me drop back a second. I know she's got a cut on her eye, and her shirt's all bloody, so I don't know if she's still...
Okay, how old is she?
40-something.
Is she breathing?
Breathes on. Oh, God.
Is she breathing?
Get away from her. She's got a pulse.
Y'all see that? He's saying, move, dog. Sound like two dogs came up barking. He still don't know that it was the dogs that killed his mother. It's like a 21-year-old boy. He told the dogs to get away from her. He said, move, dog. Get away from her. He still doesn't understand, hasn't connected dots, that the dogs killed her. This is that brainwashery where dogs are never the suspect and they're predators. Listen to this. This gets crazier. Listen to this.
Got a pole. Stop, where is it? I don't feel breathing. Stop, get away. Stop, get away.
Wow. Wow. He said, I don't know if I don't feel her breathing. Dog, get away. Dog, get away. Get off of her. Get off. The dog started attacking her again. And the 21-year-old boy started to scream, dog, dog. He found out, right? He figured out right at that moment during the call, he figured out that it was the dogs that did it. This is chilling footage right here. That's nightmare material. Yes. He just now connected the dots that the dogs killed his mother. Wow. Wow. The brainwashery is real, people. How can you trust these people to keep us safe when they not even sharp enough to keep themselves safe? When they can't even look at dogs as predators, even with a dead mother there, you should have immediately suspected the dogs. But he was thinking, oh, what the dogs? I don't know what happened. Wow. Wow. And then you only find out or figure out that the dogs killed your mother only after they start to re-attack her body. Only then did you realize, did you wake up and see the light? Dogs are these horrible killers, bloodthirsty murderers. Horrible, horrible situation. So I just wanted to share that. These are some creepy stories on this video. Again, I strongly recommend you watch that video. I think I shared it already in the community section. Again, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes long. And share it as much as possible. I need something. I've been looking for something like that. There are compilations out, but none that long. None with that type of volume. It's insane volume. You know, I can't even count. It'll be a huge project to count how many stories on that thing. You know? Yeah, he found out it was too late. Too late. But yeah, I'm going to talk more about some of these stories. Just, you know, because I hear them, I want to say things about them. I talk a little more in the members section because this is crazy. I don't want to bore everybody. making these types of videos, but I'll talk about it. It's what we do in the members. It's pretty much chit chat type of stuff in the members area. But watch that video yourself, and it's pretty enlightening. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's scary about that phone call as well. That we could hear how in denial he was, even though he wasn't being questioned about the dogs or anything. Just him not suspecting the dogs was like a covert way of being in denial on his part. That came through on that audio. And then his realization that it was the dogs, he couldn't even articulate it properly to the people on the phone. All he could say was dogs, dogs, dogs. Crazy, crazy stuff, man. These things are demons. Demons, y'all better wake up. They're demons in the flesh. Y'all better wake up and stop supporting these things. Get these things out of our society. Stop treating them like family members, like 2-year-old children. Y'all better stop acting crazy, man. What is with us as time goes on, the crazier and airheaded our culture becomes. Y'all better wake up and snap out of it, man, you dog nuts. Before you kill us all. Big shout out to everybody who joined the stream. That is all for now as we continue with this crusade against these worthless mutants and their enabling owners.